So, welcome everyone. I'm Sandy, as introduced already, and this talk is going to be about green UX, UI, as you already know, an environment and human-centered design for a greater web. And I think that sounds absolutely amazing. And just so you know a little bit more about me and who you're talking to, it's 10 plus years of UX UI design by now, 5 years in green UX UI design. Some people might argue that I have way too many plants at home. I found that very important to tell you, and that I love growing strawberries on my balcony, which has been a blast in the last days and the last weeks. So anyone who's proud strawberry owner, feel free to connect afterwards. There I see some. And you can always connect with me on LinkedIn and Instagram, and we will share the Miro board afterwards as well. So you will find all the links that I've linked in this presentation. And I dive right into it because we as designers are incredibly powerful. And I know that it doesn't always feel like it, or most often even doesn't feel like it. But yes, we are. We just have to use it quite wisely. And we know how to sell information and services and products extremely well. We know how to manipulate people. We know how psychology works. We do. And we can use that for good. We can use that for evil as well. And there is two problems. The first one is the web has a tremendous digital footprint, which means, especially when we talk about the huge data centers that there are in this world and all the telecommunication networks, all the devices that have to be built for the internet to be used, especially as it's even faster, even more, and even greater and more entertainment and all of those things. But every click means data, means energy, means carbon emissions. And that's just one part of the whole digital footprint area. Plus, we add to massive consumption and nature exploitation with a lot of the things we do, not with everything, but with a lot of the things that we do. And we don't see ourselves as part of nature anymore, but we have to remind ourselves that we are, because we often see ourselves as part of like this pyramid and being on top of this pyramid, but it's actually one big circle. And we human beings try to distance ourselves from nature, but it's in the end never true. So I know there's many, many talented people in this talk today and at home, and we can use those talents for good to reduce the negative impacts of digital products on nature and increase the positive impact. We can actually do that because we need to, and we can. And there's a couple of different things we can, and I could talk for hours about that topic actually, but I try to keep it very short and to a certain minimum. And we can integrate greener mindsets and skill sets into every step of the journey. And I definitely see like the big parts of research, the design, as well as development handoff. That's at least the part that I'm usually involved in, up to then developers doing their things as well. There's a lot of things that can be done as well, of course, as well as business. But when we talk about UX and UI design, let's look at research, design, and development handoff. And first of all, let's connect with nature. As I said, I'm a very big plant lover. So we need to connect with nature in terms of actually knowing what we do, what impact we have, because we always have an impact on nature, whether we acknowledge it or not. And let's act like we do. And for that, I love to do a little visualization with you and kindly ask you to close your eyes for that. And it might be a little bit weird at the beginning, but let's just roll with it. So just close your eyes, maybe take 1 or 2 deep breaths in and also out. Just feel your feet, where you're sitting right now, in a comfortable chair as well. And then visualize yourself floating around in outer space, floating around in the universe. And you can see the sun quite in the distance. You can see planets and stars all around you. And you can also see this beautiful planet Earth right in front of you. And then really visualize this planet. You can have a beautiful look onto it. And you can see the polar caps. You can see the oceans, different continents. You can see where it's daylight, where it's nighttime. You can see the earth moving. You can see the weather, where it's raining, where it's snowing, where the sun is shining, maybe even hurricanes. You can see different seasons of spring and summer and autumn and winter, wet season, dry season, all at the same time on this planet, in nature. And then you can zoom in and you can see whales and fish in the oceans. You can see monkeys and elephants. You can see birds all around the world. You can see this living planet with all its forests, its rainforests, with mountain ranges, with deserts, with coastlines, with lakes, rivers, animals of all kinds. And then you can also see human beings. You can see buildings. You can see cities, streets, industries. Does that feel connected? Does it feel like human beings live with nature in pure connection? Maybe yes, maybe no. Can you see how much of an impact we have on human beings, as human beings, on nature around us, on the ecosystems around us? Maybe you can even a feeling of how much of an impact we have on the ecosystems, on animals, on the climate. And then you can take one or two other deep breaths in and out. And you can open up your eyes again if you want, if you had them closed. Maybe you felt something, maybe not. But bringing nature into our design processes and our decision processes is definitely a thing we can do to actually see and feel nature's abundance and how we are connected as human beings with everything we're doing and every little project and business we're having on nature. Who of you does know or has worked with personas before? A lot of people. So there is, for example, a way to bring personas, the persona method, and bring nature into that. For example, let's say Mother Nature persona in this way. And you don't have everything that you have in a regular persona method, but a lot of the things actually. Talking about the health, talking about the values, the behavior, the job, the problems, the needs, the desires, the wishes of a non-human, in this case, non-human persona. It could be Mother Nature as a whole ecosystem. It could be Cologne as a city. It could be a lake. It could be the Atlantic Ocean. It could be an animal. It could be all kinds of things. And maybe in the beginning you're like, oh, that sounds hippie, but it actually works so great. Once you tried it and found a non-human persona that you know your business or your project is impacting negatively, but even better is, or even more of realizations you get when you know you have one you want to positively affect. So maybe you have a favorite animal or your business is connected to something. natural ecosystems or animals, and you want to positively impact that and have that as a non-human persona, super interesting to try it out. There's even free templates that I did for FigJam and for Miro. There's also a blog post, all linked in this presentation if you want to try it out. And there's also an impact section down below this template where you can figure out what's the negative impact of your project on the persona as well as the positive impact. Of course, we always want to look at the positive impact because that's things that we like to look at, but the key is to look at the negative impacts and be really honest about what we do as a business, as a project that is bad to exactly this persona, and also having a look on the things, how can we reduce the negative impact, how can we increase the positive ones, how can we even regenerate that non-human persona that we are impacting. And there's a couple of things or projects that I've included that in. It could be really literally Cologne as a city. I've done that. It could be in a course of mine. Someone had a website for a museum at the Lake Como. So Lake Como and the Alps were non-human personas. Someone had a Pilates online studio, and then we did air as a non-human persona. And it's so interesting once you get to the section of what's the health, what's the needs, what's the desires of this non-human persona, that there's aha moments coming up of, oh, okay, so that's how we're doing things, maybe not in the best way possible, but this is a couple of ideas. Those are a couple of solutions we can bring in. And if you think like, oh, that's still very hippie, there's, for example, Patagonia, who is really deeply connected with Mother Earth. They also have like a whole storytelling about that, even about oceans and mountain ranges and all kinds of things, if you have a look on their whole communication system. Another brand, for example, Turtle, or there's many different brands, businesses, agencies that really connect with the ocean, in this case, ocean as well as turtles. So you really dive deeper into like, how is it working for my brand and how can we connect with it? And it ends up in the end, maybe even in email campaigns of sharing where there's beach cleanups or centers for turtle rescues and stuff like that. So you get creative at some point. So you can definitely try that out. Another method is who is working with user journey maps. A little bit less. Well, even simpler. So you take your user journey map and you have all kinds of different lanes of those, or the actions and touch points and all of that. And then you just put down below some lanes for ecological sustainability and the problems and the things you do positively already, or the things you want to change, ideas and solutions within every single step of a user journey. Really simple and really easy done when you already use it and just want to have a look at each different step and stage along a user journey into the ecological sustainability. You can try that out as well. I definitely recommend that because there's a couple of ideas that always come up in this sense. But what is also with the design? For example, a huge topic in green UX UI design is designing lightweight. It's not the only topic, but it's a huge topic. So the idea behind it is to reduce the data, the energy and the carbon consumption of your digital products. And I always like to look at it in a fun and creative way, not just a minimalist way. And now everything has to be boring and I cannot introduce any videos and images and no fun things anymore. It's not true, because you can still do very cool creative things. And I don't know if I can move that. Yeah, okay. Can I even close that? Even better. So, for example, meet the 10 energy eating monsters that I always like to look at. It's a reminder for myself, to be honest. That's why I created them. And there is a couple of analysis tools out there, such as Digital Beacon and Website Carbon and EcoGrader. They help to try to get a gist of those energy eating monsters. Not every monster is detectable or fully detectable with those tools. And just so you know, it's, for example, video, it's images and illustrations, animations and interactions, fonts, third-party tools, ClickPass, color, audio, endless variations. We see that a lot, and storage. A lot of them, you might even have heard about them before. couple of them, you're like, how is that connected? But yeah, just so you know, those are the 10 lovely energy eating monsters. And I want to go into the two most common ones that you can see in the first one being images and other big visual elements. And there is a huge problem that I see having a look into a couple of different websites by now. This is the Digital Beacon analysis tool that's fully free to check out in the web. And that's, for example, a website that looks quite simple and very minimalistic, to be honest. It's Gomi design. It's a random website, but its size is 20 megabytes just for their homepage. And if you've been in page performance, you already know that's massive. And usually in page performance, you say not more than 3 megabytes. If you're more into green UX UI, then you say not more than 1 megabyte for a full page. So that's 20 times that big. And you get also a page breakdown of, for example, images is 10 megabytes big of all the images that are on this website. So half of it. The other is media and script. So probably a video as well as some animations and interaction. That's massive. So what can we do in a creative way? Those are a couple of just different examples. One is, for example, use no images or illustrations. It actually works. Not for every case, of course, probably not for an online shop if you sell products, but there is a couple of websites out there that use no images, no illustrations, just text and some other visual elements that are really low key. You can use only illustrations, but no images, because illustrations are a lot less data heavy than images, usually at least. And you can also design with text rather than images, because also text is usually a lot less data heavy than images or videos. Or you get creative and cut off image edges, you blur the image edges, and you take out pixels from an image to actually reduce it. And you can be really creative with it. It doesn't have to be boring. And maybe it fits the brand if it's minimalist, but maybe not. And you can still be colorful and fun and creative and aesthetically pleasing if you want so. The second problem, or the second biggest problem, is animations and interactions. This is the turtle page that I just shared, the turtle and ocean persona before. Their page is 7 megabytes, so it's still very, very, very big. And their script is, for example, 2.5 megabytes. So their animations and interactions, everything that uses script. And there is a couple of lovely ways for animations and interactions. And I hope at some point to never talk about that again, but use no sliders. I think we all talk about that constantly. Try to get rid, especially about those full width image sliders that at some point were really popular, but are now not anymore. And no one looks on the second slide or third slide. So just ditch all of that data that is useless, because it all gets to be loaded on the first viewport and no one even looks at it. So it's data waste. You can also load more functionality. So when you have a photographer's page, you don't have to load 100 images. You can just load the couple first and then have load more buttons. And then when someone actually wants to see the other images, actually clicks on it, then it gets loaded. So it's not data waste. Also question the use of accordions, because we love to use expandables and accordions, things that are moving around. But sometimes it's just 3 lines of text that we could just have as text. And it might be just a very small example of accordions, but really rethinking the way of, is that really necessary? Because in the end, actually, very few kilobytes on a website, if it's a huge website and 100,000, 200,000 people a month go on that website, actually does a thing. It sounds really small in the beginning, but if it's especially huge websites with a lot of traffic, then it's really helpful. Plus, if you want to go really intense, you can also have that example. Here is, for example, displaying animations based on carbon intensity. That has been tried out by a couple of people already, that check whether the carbon intensity is very high in the energy consumption where you get that website from at the moment from this device. And then your animations or images are displayed not at all or differently or are reduced. Really interesting things you can try out as well. If you want to have more design examples, there is a best practice library on my website. It says check out 60 plus lightweight design examples. By now it's 30 plus. In 2 days, it's actually 60 plus. The new coded version of this plugin still needs to be uploaded. But it's true in 2 days time. And then last but not least, design with a positive impact, because now we've reduced the negative one. How is it with a positive impact? And the idea behind it is to encourage ecologically sustainable choices and behavior, again, in a fun and creative way, because we always want to be fun and creative, or try to at least. And that includes, for example, greening e-commerce, raising awareness, and changing behavior in a positive way for nature. And it could be, for example, integrating sustainability filters in your e-commerce shop. If you have different kinds of products, and that's, for example, from the avocado store, and they have beautiful, interesting criteria to filter their products by. And it's really educational and fun to look at or look through. You can offer, highlight, and incentivize green shipping. And we all know, I guess, that defaults are very important and human beings are very lazy. So usually the default is the one that people take. And in this case, even it's cheaper, it's already the default, it's highlighted, and it might be 1 or 2 working days slower, but giving them an incentivation of actually choosing that option and then just making it easier. That same goes, of course, for packaging and all of those things that you can select in a checkout. You can also communicate sustainability in general spaces such as wish lists or your cart, or wherever you have something that you can display. Well, those are the sustainable products. Cool. And those are the other products. Okay. Like not pointing fingers at people and saying, well, you are bad if you choose this product. That's not what we want to do, but encouraging them to choose the more sustainable option in a uplifting way, not a you're bad if you choose the others, because that's obviously also not what we want to give the impression of for our users. You can nudge greener behavior by communicating positive outcomes. This is, for example, where it's a shampoo bar you can buy and you eliminate 6 plastic bottles with each bar, which seems maybe already a bit, but still not as much if you say, well, since 2019, we have eliminated more than 266,000 plastic bottles by users who have chosen this path. Things to encourage people that, well, this actually makes a difference if we all do it. You can also choose, this is Ecosia, for example, recognizing and encouraging a user's behavior with ethical gamification. This is just a very small gamification of when you use Ecosia as a search engine. With every 60 or something searches, you plant a tree, and it gives you this little icon on top of the website, and you get to see how many trees you're planting by just searching on the web. Fun little nudges here and there. Plus, not adding disposable add-ons per default, for example, to food delivery. If any one of you has ever worked for Lieferando or any other food delivery company, and just asking, this is from Uber Eats, I think, saying, do you actually need utensils and single-use items? Ask for it instead of just giving it to everyone. By now, I'm saying, please no add-ons, but it would be easier if there's no add-ons in the first place, and I have to actually choose it if I want it. And last but not least, enabling users to donate to good causes with each payment. This is, for example, PayPal. You might have seen that one before as well, when you had some kind of checkout, or you did, I don't know if it's the same when you send money to friends, but definitely in certain checkouts, not only PayPal does that, a couple of others do that as well, of showing you, hey, do you want to donate €1 to an NGO? It's with banking to round up what you just bought from 9.97, rounding it up 3 cents might seem really small, but in the end, if it's thousands of people doing that, then you at some point collect a lot of money. And it's just like next to doing other things. Okay, again, we can integrate greener mindsets and skill sets into every step of the journey. And the question is, how can you use your incredible talent for positive environmental change? It's up to you. It's up to all of us. If we all do a little bit, or maybe a lot as well, then we can change really a lot. And that's all I wanted to say, or try to say. And just, yeah, let's connect. It's you can find a podcast and blogs and resources and of course on Instagram and LinkedIn, all of those things if you want to connect with me. And thank you.